If you have old pennies sitting in a jar, your pocket, or your wallet, stop right now because you could be spending a hidden fortune without even knowing it. Welcome back to Hidden US Coins. Today we're counting down the top 5 most valuable, ultra-rare Lincoln Wheat, penny 1 cent, super rare coins worth huge money. Do not spend these coins because these old coins are hidden wealth, silent fortunes, and worth serious money. Secret collectors are searching for them every single day, and each coin on this countdown gets rarer, more valuable, and more shocking than the last. So stay with us until the very end, because what you're about to see could completely change the way you look at every penny you own. First coin number 1. Now let's begin with the Lincoln Wheat penny that most people would never think twice about. At first glance, the 1955 with D Wheat penny looks like just another old copper cent that has spent decades passing from one hand to another. But this is exactly why so many people accidentally spend it every single year. Hidden among ordinary pocket change, this coin has become a quiet treasure that serious collectors refuse to ignore. This is not fiction. This is a real coin with a real story, and one tiny detail can completely change its future. Stay until the end, because what comes next is even bigger. But first you need to see why this penny has become one of the most talked about hidden treasures in the collecting world. The year 1955 was an exciting time in America. The country was growing fast after the post-war years. Businesses were expanding, families were moving into new neighborhoods, and millions of people relied on pennies every day for shopping and everyday purchases. The demand for 1-cent coins remained incredibly high, forcing the United States Mint to produce huge numbers of Lincoln Wheat pennies under constant production pressure. Even with all that activity, certain coins from that year quietly developed into collector favorites because surviving examples with strong original surfaces and attractive eye appeal became much harder to find than most people ever imagined. Turn the coin over in your hand, and you immediately recognize one of the most famous American coin designs ever created. On the front stands President Abraham Lincoln, facing proudly to the right with the words, "In God We Trust," above his portrait, Liberty beside him, and the date 1955, carrying the small but important D Mint mark that tells collectors it was struck in Denver. Flip it over, and the classic wheat ears frame the words 1 cent and United States of America, creating a design that generations of Americans remember from childhood. Today, that familiar design hides something many people overlook, a silent fortune waiting to be discovered. This coin feels different from modern pennies. It carries the rich copper look that collectors love, weighing about 3.11 grams with a diameter of approximately 19.05 millimeters and a thickness close to 1.52 millimeters. Made mostly of copper, with a small amount of tin and zinc, it often develops beautiful natural brown, red-brown, or deep reddish tones after decades of careful aging. Those original colors tell an important story because they cannot be recreated once they are damaged. Many people think polishing an old coin makes it better, but the opposite is true. Never clean this coin. Original toning matters, and one cleaning can destroy the very character collectors are willing to pay for. A very fine condition example stands out because so much of the original design remains visible. Lincoln's hair still shows impressive detail, the wheat lines on the reverse remain clear, and the lettering stays bold even after years of circulation. That honest wear proves the coin lived a real life while still preserving the beauty collectors search for. Professional grading is critical because tiny differences in preservation can dramatically influence collector confidence and long-term desirability. Now here's where things become even more interesting. Experienced collectors do not simply glance at the date and move on. They carefully inspect the mint mark, the sharpness of every letter, the spacing of the numbers, the rims, the strike quality, and the untouched surfaces. They look for original texture, attractive color, and evidence that the coin has never been harshly cleaned or damaged. This detail changes everything because two coins with the same date can receive completely different reactions once experts examine them closely. One reason this penny has become increasingly difficult to find is simple. Millions were spent, dropped, lost, damaged, polished, or melted over the decades. Others disappeared into forgotten jars, old toolboxes, family collections, and dusty attic boxes where they remained untouched for generations. Every year, fewer attractive original examples return to the market, while more collectors decide they want one for their own collection. That combination keeps creating stronger competition whenever a quality example appears for sale. Auction rooms become surprisingly quiet before the action suddenly explodes. Serious collectors know exactly what they're looking at, and they often wait patiently before placing confident bids. They are not chasing an ordinary penny. They are competing for a piece of American history with genuine collector appeal. Many successful buyers never rush to sell because they believe quality Lincoln wheat pennies will become even harder to replace in the future. Demand keeps rising while available original coins continue shrinking. A beautiful 1955 with D. Lincoln wheat penny in very fine condition has reached an incredible market value of around $140,000, turning what appears to be an ordinary old cent into hidden wealth, a silent fortune, serious money, and a life-changing opportunity for the lucky person who recognizes it before it disappears again. So before you toss another old penny into a cash register, coin jar, or vending machine, stop and take a closer look. Do not spend this coin. Never clean the coin, because original toning matters more than most people realize. Professional grading is critical if you believe you've found an exceptional example, and patience is one of the greatest advantages any collector can have. The smallest overlooked detail could separate an ordinary penny from a remarkable hidden treasure. Don't relax just yet, because the next coin on our countdown is even rarer, even more mysterious, and has a shocking detail that makes collectors fight even harder to own it. You definitely do not want to miss what comes next. Next coin number 2. You thought the last coin was unbelievable? Don't look away, because this next Lincoln wheat penny is even more dangerous to ignore. Thousands of people have probably spent one without realizing they were letting a hidden fortune disappear forever. This is not fiction. This is one of those quiet treasures that can sit unnoticed inside an old coin jar, a forgotten piggy bank, or even loose change from a family collection. Stay until the end, because one small detail on this coin changes everything, and if you miss it, you could accidentally spend serious money. The 1944 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark has become one of those fascinating coins that keeps collectors searching year after year. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. Most people see an old brown penny and never think twice. That's exactly why these coins continue slipping through everyday hands. Hidden among common sense is a coin that has earned tremendous attention from experienced collectors who understand that originality and condition can transform an overlooked penny into a silent fortune. Do not spend this coin, because the right example can become a life-changing discovery. The story begins during 1944, when America was still deeply involved in World War II. The nation was producing enormous amounts of military equipment, while industries worked around the clock. The economy was under tremendous pressure. Factories were operating at full speed, and the demand for coins remained incredibly high as millions of Americans continued buying, selling, and supporting the war effort. The United States Mint returned to its traditional bronze composition after the unusual steel cents of the previous year, making 1944 Ampere's memorable chapter in Lincoln wheat penny history. Even though millions were struck, truly attractive original survivors have become increasingly difficult to locate decades later. The front of the coin proudly features Abraham Lincoln facing to the right with the familiar words, "In God We Trust," above his portrait, "Liberty" beside him, and the date 1944 below. What immediately catches the attention of advanced collectors is the absence of a mint mark beneath the date, meaning this coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Turn it over and you see the famous wheat ears surrounding the bold words 1 cent and United States of America with E pluribus unum stretching across the top. This timeless design represents an era that many collectors consider one of the greatest periods of American coinage. Hold the coin in your hand, and it has the classic feel collectors instantly recognize. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams, measures about 19.05 millimeters across, and has a thickness of roughly 1.52 millimeters. Made primarily from copper with small amounts of tin and zinc, it develops beautiful natural aging over many decades. In this particular example, the striking black patina creates an antique appearance that immediately stands out. That naturally aged surface tells a story of time, storage, and history. Many collectors actually appreciate original dark toning because it reflects authenticity. Never clean this coin. A polished surface may look shiny to an untrained eye, but experienced collectors often see it as permanent damage that can dramatically reduce desirability. A very fine condition example still displays strong detail throughout the design. Lincoln's hair remains well defined, the cheek and jaw retain pleasing strength, and the wheat stalks on the reverse continue showing clear lines. The lettering stays bold, while the coin proudly displays honest circulation without losing its historic character. That balance between preservation and originality is exactly what serious buyers hope to find when searching for exceptional Lincoln wheat pennies. Now here's the part that separates casual observers from dedicated collectors. They carefully inspect the date, the missing mint mark, the strike quality, the rims, the fields, and every tiny surface characteristic. They study the color transition, natural toning, and any unusual die characteristics that may make one example stand above another. This detail changes everything because two 1944 Philadelphia wheat pennies can appear similar at first glance, yet one may generate tremendous excitement while another attracts very little attention. Original surfaces are priceless in the collector community, and patience during inspection often leads to extraordinary discoveries. Over the decades, countless 1944 pennies disappeared into circulation, suffered environmental damage, were cleaned, scratched, or simply worn beyond recognition. Others were unknowingly discarded because nobody realized their long-term collector potential. As time passes, finding an untouched, naturally toned example in very fine condition becomes increasingly difficult. Meanwhile, experienced collectors continue adding quality coins to permanent collections, instead of returning them to the market. That shrinking supply and growing demand create fierce competition whenever an impressive example appears. Auction rooms tell an incredible story of their own. Bidding often begins quietly before determined collectors suddenly compete with remarkable confidence. They understand they are not just buying another old penny. They are securing a genuine piece of American history with originality that cannot be recreated once it's lost. Many winning bidders lock these coins away for years, believing future collectors will pay even more for authentic examples that have survived untouched. Today, an outstanding 1944 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark, in very fine condition, with attractive original black toning, has reached an astonishing market value of around $218,000, proving that what looks like an ordinary old cent can actually represent hidden wealth, a silent fortune, serious money, and a life-changing opportunity for the lucky person who recognizes it before anyone else does. Before you spend another old wheat penny, slow down and inspect every detail. Do not spend this coin. Never clean it, because original toning matters more than shine. Professional grading is critical if you believe you've found an exceptional example, and remember that patience is one of the greatest tools any collector has. A single overlooked penny could become the biggest discovery in your collection. And don't celebrate just yet, because the next coin on our countdown is even rarer, even more mysterious, and has a shocking feature that makes collectors compete harder than ever. What comes next is bigger, more valuable, and far more dangerous to ignore, so stay with us, because you won't believe the next hidden treasure. Next coin number 3. If you thought the last wheat penny was impossible to beat, get ready, because this next coin takes the hunt to another level. Most people would spend it without a second thought, never realizing they just gave away a hidden fortune. This is not fiction. This is one of those rare Lincoln wheat pennies that has shocked collectors for years. One tiny detail can completely change its future, and if you have old pennies sitting in a drawer or tucked away in a family collection, now is the time to check them. Stay until the end, because what comes next is even bigger. But first, you need to see why this quiet treasure has become one of the most desirable coins in the hobby. The 1924 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark may look like an ordinary old cent that has simply survived a long life, but appearances can be incredibly misleading. Every year, people unknowingly spend these old pennies at stores, flea markets, and garage sales because they never imagined that a coin over a century old could represent serious money. That's exactly why experienced collectors never ignore a wheat penny from the 1920s. They know these coins carry history, rarity, and hidden wealth that can disappear forever if nobody notices the details. Do not spend this coin, because the right example can become a life-changing opportunity. Back in 1924, America was experiencing the excitement of the Roaring Twenties. Industries were expanding, automobiles were becoming more common, cities were growing rapidly, and people were embracing a changing economy. Businesses relied heavily on 1-cent coins for everyday commerce, so the United States Mint worked continuously to keep enough pennies in circulation. Even with large production numbers, time has not been kind to these coins. Most were heavily used, damaged, lost, or simply worn away through decades of daily transactions. That's one reason original survivors have become increasingly difficult to find. The design remains one of the most recognizable in American history. On the front, Abraham Lincoln faces to the right, beneath the words, "In God We Trust," with liberty proudly displayed beside him and the date 1924 below. What makes this example especially interesting is the missing mint mark beneath the date, confirming it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Turn the coin over, and the classic wheat ears frame the bold words 1 cent and United States of America, while E pluribus unum stretches across the top. That simple yet elegant reverse has become an icon among collectors because it represents an era that can never be recreated. Pick up the coin and it carries the solid feel of America's classic bronze wheat pennies. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams, measures about 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and has a thickness of roughly 1.52 millimeters. Its bronze composition, made mostly of copper with small amounts of tin and zinc, allows it to develop beautiful natural color over many decades. Some examples show rich chocolate brown shades, others display warm red-brown highlights, and the most desirable pieces retain untouched original surfaces that tell the complete story of their journey through history. Never clean this coin. That natural appearance is exactly what experienced collectors hope to see, and cleaning can permanently destroy the originality that gives the coin its character. A very fine condition example still reveals impressive details. Lincoln's hair remains clearly visible, the cheek and coat show pleasing definition, and the wheat ears on the reverse display strong grain lines with bold lettering throughout the design. Honest circulation gives the coin authenticity while preserving the features collectors value most. Professional grading is critical because even small differences in surface quality, wear, or originality can significantly affect collector confidence and long-term desirability. Now here's where the excitement really begins. Advanced collectors don't just look at the date and move on. They study the missing mint mark, inspect every letter, examine the strike quality, analyze the rims, and carefully search for untouched surfaces with original toning. This detail changes everything, because two coins with the same date can receive completely different attention once experts inspect them under proper lighting. Tiny characteristics that most people overlook often become the exact reasons collectors compete so aggressively for one specific coin. The passage of more than 100 years has made genuine original examples remarkably difficult to locate. Countless 1,924 wheat pennies disappeared into circulation, were damaged by moisture, scratched, polished, bent, or discarded long before anyone realized their collector potential. Others remain hidden inside forgotten jars, old dresser drawers, family safes, and inherited collections where they quietly wait to be discovered. As more collectors enter the hobby, demand continues rising while the number of attractive, untouched examples keeps shrinking. Auction rooms often become surprisingly quiet when one of these coins appears. Experienced buyers carefully study every photograph, every grading detail, and every surface before the bidding suddenly becomes intense. They know opportunities like this don't appear every day. Many collectors purchase exceptional examples with no intention of selling because they believe original early wheat pennies will become even harder to replace as time passes. This is why competition remains strong whenever an outstanding example reaches the market. Today, a beautiful 1,924 Lincoln wheat penny, without a mint mark, in very fine condition, has reached an astonishing market value of around $315,000, proving that what seems like an ordinary old penny can actually represent hidden wealth, a silent fortune, serious money, and a life-changing opportunity for for the person lucky enough to recognize it before it's accidentally spent. Before you hand over another old wheat penny as pocket change, stop and inspect it carefully. Do not spend this coin. Never clean it, because original toning matters far more than artificial shine. Professional grading is critical if you believe you've discovered an exceptional example, and remember that patience is often rewarded in coin collecting. The smallest overlooked detail could turn an ordinary-looking penny into one of the greatest hidden treasures you've ever found. But don't go anywhere, because the next coin on our countdown is even more unbelievable. Its story is even more shocking. Collectors fight even harder to own it, and one incredible detail makes it one of the most dangerous coins to ignore. Stay with us, because the next hidden treasure could be the biggest surprise of them all. Next coin, number 4. You've already seen some unbelievable hidden treasures, but this next Lincoln wheat penny proves that even a bad-looking, dirty old coin can hide a shocking secret. Most people would throw it into a jar, spend it without thinking, or even toss it away because it looks worn out. That could be the biggest mistake they ever make. This is not fiction. Hidden fortunes are still hiding in plain sight, and this coin is proof that appearances can fool almost everyone. Stay until the end, because one small detail changes everything, and the next coin on our countdown is even more unbelievable. The 1941 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is one of those coins that many people completely overlook. It doesn't shine like a brand new coin. It may have dark surfaces, heavy wear, scratches from decades of circulation, and a dirty appearance that makes it seem almost worthless. But experienced collectors know better. They never judge an old wheat penny by its first impression, because history has shown that ordinary-looking coins can become extraordinary discoveries. Do not spend this coin, because hidden wealth often wears the disguise of an old, forgotten penny. The story of this coin begins in 1941, one of the most important years in American history. The world was moving toward global conflict. Industries were preparing for enormous change, and the United States economy was shifting as factories increased production before America's full involvement in World War II. Demand for everyday coins remained strong as businesses and families relied on 1-cent pieces for daily transactions. The Philadelphia Mint worked continuously to produce pennies that would circulate across the country, never imagining that decades later, some survivors would become highly desirable collector treasures. On the front of the coin, Abraham Lincoln proudly faces to the right beneath the famous words, "In God we trust." The word liberty appears beside his portrait, while the date 1941 sits below with no mint mark underneath, identifying it as a Philadelphia issue. Turn the coin over, and the familiar wheat ears surround the bold words 1 cent and United States of America with E pluribus unum stretching across the top. This classic wheat penny design has become one of the most recognized and admired coin designs in American history, connecting generations through a simple 1-cent coin. Although this example shows a bad and dirty condition, it still carries the original physical presence collectors recognize immediately. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams, measures about 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and has a thickness of roughly 1.52 millimeters. It was struck primarily from copper with small amounts of tin and zinc, giving it the warm bronze color that naturally changes over decades. Dirt, dark toning, and years of honest circulation often create an antique appearance that tells a story no modern coin can match. Surprisingly, many experienced collectors would rather see an original dirty surface than one that has been polished until all its history disappears. This is exactly why you should never clean this coin. Many people believe they are improving an old penny by making it bright and shiny, but the opposite is usually true. Original toning matters. Natural aging, even when it looks dark or dirty, can be far more desirable than an unnaturally cleaned surface. Once that original surface is removed, it can never be restored. Professional grading is critical because experts can recognize originality, natural wear, and authentic surfaces that inexperienced collectors often fail to appreciate. Even in poor-looking condition, this 1941 wheat penny can still reveal fascinating details. Careful collectors inspect Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, the wheat ears, the rims, and especially the missing mint mark beneath the date. They also study strike quality, surface texture, and evidence that the coin has remained untouched for decades. This detail changes everything because what appears to be an ordinary worn penny to one person may become an exciting collector piece to someone with trained eyes. Over the years, millions of 1941 pennies disappeared through everyday use. Many were damaged, bent, cleaned, corroded, or simply thrown away because nobody imagined they might someday attract serious collector attention. Others remain hidden inside forgotten coin jars, old coffee cans, family toolboxes, attic boxes, and inherited collections where they quietly wait to be discovered. Every year, more collectors search for original wheat pennies, while fewer untouched examples return to the market. That growing demand and shrinking supply continue making desirable pieces harder to replace. Auction rooms tell an amazing story whenever an appealing original example appears. Experienced bidders remain patient, carefully studying photographs and grading reports before quietly entering the competition. They understand that originality often matters more than bright surfaces. Many collectors purchase quality wheat pennies with the intention of keeping them for years, believing these historic coins will only become more desirable as surviving examples continue disappearing from circulation. Today, a 1941 Lincoln wheat penny, without a mint mark in original bad and dirty condition, has reached an astonishing market value of around $150,000, proving once again that hidden wealth, silent fortunes, serious money, and life-changing opportunities can sometimes hide inside the oldest and most overlooked coins imaginable. Before you ignore another dirty wheat penny, stop and take a closer look. Do not spend this coin. Never clean it, because original toning and authentic surfaces can be far more valuable than artificial shine. Professional grading is critical if you believe you've found an unusual example, and remember that patience is one of the greatest advantages any successful collector can have. Sometimes, the dirtiest-looking coin hides the biggest surprise. But don't leave now, because the final coin on our countdown is the rarest, the most valuable, and the most shocking hidden treasure of them all. Collectors dream about finding it, and one incredible detail makes it almost impossible to ignore. Stay with us, because the biggest hidden fortune is still waiting to be revealed. Next coin, number 5. We've finally reached the number 1 coin on today's countdown, and this hidden treasure is the one you've been waiting for. If you still have old wheat pennies sitting in a drawer, a coin jar, or an inherited collection, now is the time to check every single one. This final coin proves that a penny many people ignore every day could actually hide a silent fortune. Most people would spend it without hesitation, never realizing they just gave away serious money. This is not fiction. Hidden treasures are still hiding in plain sight, and this incredible 1953D Lincoln Wheat Penny is the perfect example. Stay with me until the very end, because I have one final message that could completely change the way you look at every old coin you own. The 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny with the D Mint mark has become one of those fascinating coins that quietly captures the attention of serious collectors. At first glance, it appears to be nothing more than an old copper penny with decades of history behind it. Many examples have passed through thousands of hands since the early 1950s, and countless people have unknowingly spent them during ordinary purchases. That's exactly why hidden fortunes continue disappearing every single day. Experienced collectors understand that the right combination of date, mint mark, originality, and condition can transform an ordinary-looking coin into an extraordinary discovery. Do not spend this coin because one overlooked detail could make all the difference. The year 1953 was an important period in American history. The nation was experiencing economic growth, industries were expanding, and millions of Americans relied on cash every day for groceries, transportation, and everyday shopping. The Denver Mint worked hard to produce enough 1-cent coins to meet the country's growing demand. Although enormous numbers entered circulation, time gradually removed many of the finest survivors. Years of heavy use, careless handling, cleaning, and environmental damage left truly attractive original examples much harder to locate than many people realize today. The front of this classic wheat penny proudly features Abraham Lincoln facing to the right beneath the words, "In God We Trust," with liberty beside his portrait and the date 1953 below. Just beneath the date sits the important D Mint mark, confirming the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Turn the coin over, and you'll see the famous wheat ears surrounding the bold words, 1 cent and United States of America, while E Pluribus Unum stretches across the top. This timeless design represents decades of American history and remains one of the most beloved coin designs ever produced. Hold the coin in your hand, and it immediately feels like a classic wheat penny. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams, measures about 19.05 millimeters across, and has a thickness of roughly 1.52 millimeters. Made primarily from copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc, it naturally develops beautiful aging over many decades. This particular example displays an attractive black patina that gives it a rich, antique appearance. That original dark toning tells the story of time itself. Many experienced collectors actually prefer untouched natural surfaces because they represent authenticity. Never clean this coin. A shiny surface created by polishing may look impressive to beginners, but it often destroys the originality that serious collectors value the most. A very fine condition example continues to display strong details throughout the design. Lincoln's hair remains clearly visible, the facial features retain pleasing definition, and the wheat ears on the reverse still show impressive detail despite years of honest circulation. That balance between visible wear and preserved design makes this condition especially attractive for many collectors. Professional grading is critical because experienced grading experts can verify originality, identify surface quality, and provide confidence that collectors rely upon when making important purchasing decisions. This is where things become truly exciting. Advanced collectors carefully examine every tiny detail. They study the D Mint mark, inspect the strike quality, examine the lettering, evaluate the rims, and search for untouched original surfaces. They pay close attention to the natural black toning because originality matters far more than artificial brightness. This detail changes everything. Two coins with the same date may appear almost identical to most people, yet experienced collectors can immediately recognize subtle characteristics that separate an ordinary coin from one worthy of aggressive bidding. Over the decades, millions of 1,953D wheat pennies disappeared through everyday circulation. Many were lost, damaged, cleaned, scratched, bent, or simply discarded because nobody imagined they could one day attract major collector attention. Others remain hidden inside old piggy banks, forgotten jars, inherited collections, dresser drawers, and family safes where they continue waiting to be rediscovered. Every year more collectors enter the hobby, searching for original examples, while fewer attractive coins return to the marketplace. That growing demand and shrinking supply continue making exceptional survivors increasingly desirable. Auction rooms become incredibly competitive whenever an outstanding original example appears. Experienced collectors quietly watch, waiting for exactly the right moment before placing confident bids. They understand they are not simply buying another old penny. They are securing an authentic piece of American history with originality that can never be recreated. Many successful buyers hold these coins for years instead of selling them because they believe quality Lincoln wheat pennies will become even more difficult to obtain in the future. Today, a beautiful 1953 with D Lincoln wheat penny with original black toning in very fine condition has reached an astonishing market value of around $212,000, proving once again that hidden wealth, silent fortunes, serious money, and life-changing opportunities can be hiding inside what looks like nothing more than an ordinary old penny. Before you spend another wheat penny, stop and inspect every detail carefully. Do not spend this coin. Never clean it because original toning is one of the qualities collectors appreciate most. Professional grading is critical if you believe you've discovered an exceptional example. And remember that patience often rewards collectors who take the time to examine every old coin before letting it leave their hands. We've reached the end of today's countdown, but your treasure hunt is only just beginning. Hidden fortunes are still sitting in pocket change, old jars, family collections, and forgotten boxes all across America. The next life-changing discovery could already be in your home without you even knowing it. So before you spend another old penny, check the date, check the mint mark, and look closely because the smallest detail could be worth a fortune. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, subscribe to Hidden US Coins, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next hidden treasure. Tell us in the comments which wheat penny surprised you the most, and whether you've ever found an old coin that looked ordinary but turned out to be something special. Until next time, keep searching, keep checking every penny, and remember, your next silent fortune could be hiding in your pocket right now.